Alright, this segment is we're gonna discuss few little details about what's going on here as well. Each time we refill a cartridge and we let it run to empty, as I mentioned many times, you're gonna be sick of hearing this, is that we start developing little voids inside the sponge, and as a result the sponge holds less and less ink. You can clearly see that this sponge here is holding less ink than a good condition cartridge that's brand new. Now remember I talked about the optical ink sensor, and once that optical ink sensor triggers the printer and says there's no more ink in here, the printer expects a fixed amount of ink in the sponge. Let's say it expects 2 ml, for argument's sake. Well, it would expect 2 ml from a brand new cartridge. But if it's compromised and we've got air voids in the sponge, it's not going to have 2 ml. It may have 1.8, 1.9, and each time you refill it, it may drop by 0.1. So eventually it may have only 1.5. Now, the consequence of that is if you refill these improperly and you start getting this, and you depend on your empty signal on the printer to tell you to refill, you've got a problem. The problem is it expects 2 ml from the point it detects that ink is out here, but now you've only got, say, 1.5, 1.4. So the printer is going to continue to print even though it doesn't have enough ink for the cartridge to work properly. The result of that is you're going to burn your printhead out. It may not happen overnight, but over many uses it will do so. So please understand that once you get a compromised sponge and you print to empty, you're risking damaging the printhead. Now let me go to these cartridges here, these newer style ones. This is a 221. The 225 is fully blacked out here in Europe. You got the 521, I think, and the 526. Now on these printers, the reservoir is a lot smaller than these. But also what Canon did was that it still has the optical sensor, but it doesn't give a low reading to anybody until part of the sponge is actually used up. And that is the reason why many people have problems with these cartridges very quickly. It's because when they actually run it to empty, they drain a lot of ink, nearly totally void the sponge of all ink. So they then have refilling problems. So I think once you start understanding the void issues in the sponge, you go back to some of the problems that you may have had or have seen in the past, and it all starts to piece together, and then it makes sense. But the most important thing is, in the future, refill properly. Happy printing. Always solid. Thank you.